This is a more complicated exercise than the one you just did. In this one, you're going to be taking 4 panels of a 5-panel image and making them match that 1/5. So let's open Flowers 2 and take a look at it. This is the center panel that you're going to be making these other 4 match. Let's lock it, highlight it, and then click on the little lock. Then let's get rid of the guides so that you can see what you're doing. The first one we're going to do is this light one, and then we're going to do the flat one, and then we're going to do the dark one over here, and then finally the one that's kind of pinky. So let's highlight the light one and use an adjustment layer rather than an adjustment. Let's go up to here and go to brightness and contrast. Now this adjustment layer will affect everything below it, so we don't want that. We only want it to affect this one layer. So we're going to hold down the Alt key and click on the line right between the two of them. You can see it changes, and click. Now it will only affect this one. So here's your brightness and contrast sliders. Only 2 of them. Pretty easy. This is a little light and a little contrasty, so let's take the contrast down and the brightness down and see how it fits. I'm just sliding these things around. That looks pretty good. Let's just leave that one alone. Now let's move on up to levels. So we're going to work on levels in the flat one. You can see it's gray in the highlights and gray in the shadows. It's just flat. So let's click on it and add an adjustment layer. Down here again, levels, and do the isolation again. Option key and click. You've seen this before. You saw it in the other exercise you just did. It has a dark slider and a light slider and a gray slider. So let's increase the contrast by sliding this over. You can see it does that. And we got that highlight pretty much right. That's a little gray in the middle, so let's slide it over here, down to here. I'm going to leave it just like that. Now let's do the dark one, which is over here. Highlight dark, adjustment layer. Let's do curves this time. Going to do the little isolation again, Alt key and click. Now this has a bright slider and a dark slider and the little curve thingy in between, but instead of a middle slider it has this line that you could move up or down from any point on it. You can move up here and then down here and then up here instead of just the one point from on the center on the levels. I'm just getting rid of the points now. So let's just choose a gray that's somewhere between the light and the dark. I'm going to go to here, this little top thing, and I'm going to pick this gray right here. See, I can pick any one of those grays. You can see that the gray I'm picking, gets lighter. See, it's pretty dark dark there now, see? And it's pretty light there. So let's just pick one in the middle. Let's say right about here. Now that gives me a little highlighted dot that I can use the arrow keys to move up or down to get it the way I want. Really subtle control. That looks pretty good right there. Now I could pick other points along this line and adjust some other points independently of this, but I don't need to. It looks pretty good. So I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead. One more to go. It's the one that has the pinky cast over here. So let's select that and choose for our adjustment layer, selective color. We're going to want to work with each individual color and take the pink out as we need to. First thing we're going to do, of course, is to make it isolated. There we go. And we're just going to look at the different colors and take out the pink as we need to. I'm going to start with whites, the bright white of the cloud, and take the magenta out. Just going to highlight that and use the arrow keys to kind of like back off until it's kind of neutral. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the neutral tones, highlight that again, use the arrow keys to take the neutral down. It's gotten a little light in here, so I'm going to go here and add a little bit of black to darken it. Now I want to go to the cyan, the blues, the cyans. It's closer to cyan than it is to blue. And adjust the magenta there. Taking the magenta out. Maybe even taking a little bit of the cyan out. Okay. Now let's go to the greens. And take a little bit of the magenta out, but not as much. Like that. And I'm going to go back to the cyan and add a little magenta back in. And maybe take a little black out. And I think I'm good there. The advantage of using the adjustment layers as opposed to the adjustments over here is that you can revisit any of these. You can say, well, maybe this one here is a little bit too magenta-y. So let's go back to the flatten layer here, go up to the adjustment layer icon and click, and we get it back again. We can go in here and adjust any one of the colors. I go in here and go into the green, which is the equivalent of that, and take a little bit of that out, minuscule amount. Go back to here and be okay. We could even add in another adjustment to any particular layer just by going back down here and, let's say, adding another one back in. See, now we have another one added to here. You narrow it down by clicking there again, and you've added another one that you can adjust. I think this thing looks pretty good, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it unadjusted. But this is things that you could add as many of these as you want to any of these layers until you get it exactly the way you like. So there you are. Save your file as something other than Flowers 2. Add your initials onto there, and then flatten it, save it as a JPEG, and submit it.